Hey, this is Nick with Houston Food Not Bombs. How's it going?
Oh, hey Nick, how's it going?
Hey, well, I really appreciate you guys giving us some coverage, and I also wanted to kind of correct something. Emma, you've repeated this thing about Houston has reduced the amount of homelessness by 63%. That is just bunk data that the mayor has circulated. It's based on these point-in-time homeless counts, which are famously inaccurate. The Homeless Law Center and the National Coalition for the Homeless and the Guardian and everybody, so they might be off by as much as a factor of 10.
I appreciate your correction because I guess I got that from the New York Times piece. And they must have republished that uncritically.
Yeah, definitely. And Ryan Grimm interviewed like some Houston bureaucrat to say, oh, what can we learn from Houston? You guys have it all figured out. But anyway, I just wanted to get that on record. But also, yeah, thank you so much for your coverage. I have 2 court dates coming up next week for sharing food with the homeless.
God damn. I mean,
tell us about your experience, like broadly with Food Not Bombs, and then like this, recent stuff.
Yeah, well, we've been doing this since '94, and the mayors have, this mayor and the previous mayor have really gone after us, but nobody actually wrote tickets, much less write tickets under this anti-food sharing ordinance. So these tickets now, they could be as much as $2,000 each. We've gotten 51 of them now, I think. So we're over the $100,000 amount, and this mayor is just really trying to use it to get us to leave where we are, which is the library area, and move to the police parking lot. That's where he wants us to distribute our food, in the Houston police parking lot.
Oh, God.
I mean, yeah, I'm sure a lot of unhoused people are just going to want to walk right there, right to the police station to get their. I mean, that's insane. So, I mean, can you talk about what it's like as well? I mean, when you interact and do face to face with some of these unhoused people when you're giving them food, what's that experience like? What if you could emphasize the value of that?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're, not a traditional charity. Like, charity is big business. There are these religious fundamentalist kind of shelters that are just like treating homeless people like they're captives to push Christianity on them, and like Muslim kids getting Christianity pushed on them at Star of Hope Mission here in Houston with federal money funding it. And also they discriminate against lesbians. We're like, we'd rather think of it as sharing food with friends, and we get to talk to homeless people and to each other, and we don't get any kind of grant money, and we don't get any kind of compensation. That charity I mentioned, Star of Hope Mission, their CEO gave himself a $200,000 raise in 2021 to $561,000 a year for his work helping the homeless. We don't even get paid for our gas money. So we're a different kind of group, but I would say that in general, this is just a tiny piece of what homeless people are dealing with all these anti-homeless laws. Like, yeah, I have to go to court and deal with these tickets, but homeless people are getting ticketed by the thousands just for like sleeping on the sidewalk. There's way more oppressive laws than this one. This one kind of gets more attention because the victims of it are people who have social media accounts and access to the media.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, and can you emphasize or talk a bit about the cycle that puts on homeless people in when they have these tickets? They're just being penalized for being poor, and as those pile up, the effect that has.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this whole kind of idea, we're criticized by the mayor, Sylvester Turner, and others like, oh, you guys are just enabling them to stay on the street by giving them food. And we would make the counter argument, well, what we're doing is making them less desperate, which should be good not only for them, but for all of Houston. Like, if they have food, they're more food secure. But it's not just us. Like, this law that they're enforcing, it stops all the uncoordinated sharing. So if you have leftover food from an office party or something, you can't just go down and share it with the homeless, because you're like, oh, there's this law and we have to apply and get permission or whatever. So it's kind of raised the level of desperation. And then these anti-homeless laws on top of that, ACLU, all kinds of folks are bringing lawsuits on these. But I mean, there's a law against having a bag over a certain size. There's a law against having a tent. There's a law against sleeping on the sidewalk between the hours of 7 a.m. and 11 p.m. All kinds of stuff like that.
What does Food Not Bombs see as a good solution here?
Well, the problem is, Houston took a perfectly good solution. The housing first model was a good solution, but by the time they implemented in their corporate way or whatever, they just ended up giving money to a bunch of their friends. So it's not really so much a problem of the the solutions, the solutions are, give homeless people more
homes,
food and better places to stay and stuff like that. But the people who are implementing it are so corrupt. And to some extent, I believe personally under capitalism, like they don't really want to give homeless people nice houses and nice food, because then why would the working poor keep, what's the cudgel to keep them working?
Totally.
Yep, exactly.
Totally. I mean, it's an incredibly sick and also false mentality that that's going to stop people from working and serving a capitalist. That's not how it works. Like, the precarity for other people is also dire, and they're not going to be envious of homeless people if they have a place to live that isn't filled with cockroaches and mold, for example. I mean, that is I'm just trying to articulate that for the audience, because that is such a sick and insane mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same as the cudgel that the mayor is implying, that if we stop sharing food, then the homeless people will be more desperate, and therefore they'll go to this police parking lot or to a shelter where they get, supposedly more comprehensive services. But these comprehensive services, and I'm not denying that they definitely help a lot of people, like a shelter bed for a single mom or whatever can be the difference between life and death. It's super important. But the way that they're implemented and the way that they're spending money is like this super corrupt system intended to keep people kind of as data points. There's a thing called the Homeless Management Information System. So every homeless person is a data point in their grant money, as is this homeless count I was talking about. They have to prove every year that they're reducing homelessness to get their Obama-era HUD grants.
Right.
So they're using that to justify their insane budget.
And that's the program that is, had success, but the numbers that you said at the outset were overinflated by the coverage of it, because it comes from the mayor's office.
They're saying they reduced homelessness by 63% over the last 11 years. I wouldn't be surprised if homelessness has increased over the last 11 years. It's clear that the point-in-time homeless counts are completely inaccurate, off by a factor of as much as 10, and they're being conducted by the people who benefit from the grant money, so there's no reason to think that they're accurate at all. Now, what the actual numbers of homelessness in Houston, I can't say, but we're in one location downtown. Our numbers haven't gone down at all.
Well, all right. I really, really appreciate the call. And how can people support Food Not Bombs?
Yeah, we're taking financial donations through hpjc.org/FNB. That's our fiscal sponsor, the Houston Peace and Justice Center. We have a Instagram account, a Facebook account. There's all kinds of stuff. We just love for people to come out and see what Food Not Bombs is doing, not only in Houston, but just go out in your local area. Just look up your local Food Not Bombs. They're all over the place. There are thousands of Food Not Bombs all around the planet, and it's an incredible opportunity to, if you have a question about anything about homeless people, go out, share a meal with them, and ask them. And it doesn't have to be this mysterious thing behind the media wall of what are homeless people thinking.
Right on.
Yep. Well, really appreciate the call. Thanks so much.
Peace, y'all. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
That reminds me, I just want to, we talk about the policy behind deprivation like this. There's this quote that's from a book by Peter Linebaugh called Red Round Globe Hot Burning, but I always bring this up because I think it's why. It's why people are deprived, which is, it's from a guy named Joseph Townsend, who was like a contemporary of Malthus, but he says, hunger will tame the fiercest animals. It will teach decency and civility, obedience and subjection to the most perverse. In general, it is only hunger which can spur and goad the poor onto labor. Yet our laws have said that they should never hunger. The laws, it must be confessed, have likewise said they shall be compelled to work, but then legal constraint. And I'll just continue a little bit further to the end there. The slave must be compelled to work, but the free man should be left to his own judgment and discretion, should be protected in the full enjoyment of his own, be it much or little, and be punished when he invades his neighbor's property. Like, that is Western civilization for you right there. Like, and that's why we have things like student lunch debt, because the people who are in power see it as a way to basically
discipline,
spur and goad the poor on to labor.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. And it's just part, like you said, we just as a society believe that certain people need to be living under a constant reign of terror in order to, maintain the social order. And half of what the Fox News commentary is, when it's not complaining about wokeism or whatever, is complaining about the terror that they rain on other people, possibly, coming around to be targets against them, whether it's the prison industrial complex or just being hoisted by their own petard.
Yeah.